Well, salutations, fellow thinkers and drinkers. So we continue our review of the recorded works of UFO. Okay, last time, as we left it after a commercially disappointing but really rather fine High Stakes and Dangerous Men, 92. The band once again fell into silence. If one accepts that sort of Morgue and Way, and probably to some extent Paul Raymond and Andy Parker were a loose end, there still remains Michael Schenker. Now, I did not follow his solo career in any detail whatsoever. May back in the day have owned one or two albums. Can't quite remember. But I do remember around this time, mid-90s, he was also not in a particularly good way, perhaps personally, but I do recall rumors of financial difficulties. Not that it really matters, but there was a reunion about to take place, and I don't think it's unfair to mention the fact that the reasons for this were perhaps best described as not purely artistic. So, I think it was in 94 when they eventually got back together, that be Schenker, Morgue, Way, Raymond, and Parker. They reconciled, and even tempted Ron Nevison back into the producer's chair. And they set about recording an album. Released in 1995, titled Walk on Water. It opens with A Self-Made Man, which is an absolute perfect scene setter. It is really heavy for UFO. When I, in the mid-90s, updated their sound a little bit. Still very recognizable, but yes, this is quite metallic, actually. It's confident, it's measured, it's dignified, it carries a weight, but it's still infused with that typical sense of melody that they seem so easily to be able to give their songs. It's heavy. Schenker's tone is fantastic on this. It really is. It's warm, it's vocal, it's unforced, and it's very present without dominating, shall we say. His playing's both muscular and lyrical, and Phil Mogg really comes to the party on this one. His performance is assured, it's restrained. Slightly more venom in his delivery on this, I think, than has been typical of his vocal performances. But this is just from start to finish a fantastic song. You just hear that opening riff, and it goes through its little mood shifts, and that chorus is immense. The pre-chorus especially is immense. Really, wow. One of the best things I've ever written. Okay, they followed up with Venus, with slightly more upbeat. This is real classic UFO melodic rock. It's got a great lift in the chorus to it. It's got that easy floating quality that defines so much of their best work, perhaps. It's instantly appealing, but you can't say it's a commercial sellout or anything like that. It's a balance they were very, they found it easy to strike, I think. But no, it's another absolute winner. Great playing by all concerned. And so far, wow, what can I say? All right, Push to the Limit, which is harder edge, perhaps certainly more driving song. Quicker pace. The riff has got a real bite to it. And the rhythm section really flexes their muscles on this. Yeah, this again is very impressive. It's heavy, it's fast, it's driving, but still, it has all those melodic qualities you want on it. Extremely strong effort, this. Okay, Stopped by a Bullet of Love. Again, not slightly ups the tempo again. But again, instantly memorable and unforgettable chorus. It's got a lot of weight to it, but it doesn't sacrifice momentum either. Again, what can I say? Schenker, great playing on this. Morg sounds extremely confident. It's like they'd never been away, one has to say. Yeah, it's another great song. Now, I said when the first song that sounded more metal than they perhaps ever had, and this is very true of Darker Days, which is a really fitting title, shall we say. It's heavy, it's brooding, cinematic in tone, a dark undercurrent of menace never far beneath the surface. This is not necessarily uncharted territory for the band, but certainly I never recall them being this metallic before. And it's built around a massive grinding riff. It's incredibly strong and memorable chorus. It really is. And they go for atmosphere and dynamics rather than, obvious ornamentation, musical ornamentation. Tension build, and this song has a lot of tension, but it builds with a measured control. It's subtle, it's powerful, and it's a genuine classic. It really is. This has to be one of the best songs UFO ever recorded. Heavier than most of their stuff, but absolute phenomenal song. Okay, Running on Empty. Bit of a sort of road-weary lyric to it, I think. Very UFO song in spirit. Bounces along quite nice. Again, the playing's good. It's not the standout song on this album, and on a weaker album, it would garner far more attention. But it's another really strong effort. Knock Knock is perhaps more direct. Really instant groove to this one. On first listen, perhaps, but it grows on you. It really does. It's solid, it's professional, it's well textured, I think. Instantly catchy. Not an obvious single, not an obvious ballad, nothing like that. It's the groove to this one, I think, that really makes it stand out. Interestingly, perhaps Pete Way's sole writing credit on the album. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Okay, Dreaming of Summer up next. It's an absolutely beautiful piece. If you think in spirit, Love to Love, you won't be too far away, actually, but you have to understand, this is very much its own thing, and it's heavier than Love to Love. It's atmospheric, it's gentle, slightly nostalgic, but not sentimental. Phenomenal performance by Phil Mogg and again by Schenker. There's real, genuine emotional weight to this song, and it's in the composition. It is in the performance. It is not cheesy sounding 80s keyboards, that on some of their albums did try to pass for emotion back in the middle 80s. But no, this is incredibly engaging. It's very intense, and actually it's quietly moving. A highlight on the album? Absolutely. A highlight in their career? Very possibly. My favorite song on the album? Yes. Now, it started fucking well, this one, hasn't it? Well, they're about to slightly let it down. For reasons I'll never understand. They have re-recorded 1995 versions of both Doctor Doctor and Lights Out. Now, I've never been a fan of bands re-recording their own music. You can never replicate that original recording session for reasons that should be far too obvious for me to have to mention. Are these bad recordings? No. Do they sound tired or pro forma? No. Are they completely fucking superfluous? Yes. I don't know if they did this because they had no more original material or something, and the album was too short. I don't know. But no desire to listen to these, and I generally don't. Well, that was it. And critically, this was justifiably very well received. Commercially, in a rock world still dominated by grunge and things like that, to adapt a cricketing metaphor, I don't think this, sales-wise, this troubled the compilers of too many charts. Pity. It's got a good, clean production on it. It's not an outstanding production. And to say there's not the difference you notice Nevison made when you went from no heavy petting to Lights Out. Certainly not that dramatic, but it's a good production. It's powerful, it's raw, but it has enough polish. Everything's very clear. Everything's well defined. Schenker is superb on this. His playing is immense. He's soloing, he's riffing, and his sound is fantastic. The whole band sound fantastic. It serves the songs. Maybe this was 1995. What's the last time they worked together? It was 79, 78 or something like that. And yes, okay, things had moved on. Was this a production of its time? Maybe you could say that. Maybe you could. But I have no complaints with it. It sounds good. And it's this an amazing collection of songs, and this is very much, say, UFO of that moment. But yes, some evolution, certainly, but they're still very much UFO. They have more than maintained their identity. They simply wrote, slightly evolved, classic UFO songs. Melodic, dramatic, heart-driving, guitar-driven, built around atmosphere and built around feeling and musical dynamics rather than synthetic tropes. And again, I think it was, even if the mainstream, it failed to garner much mainstream attention, it was critically very well received, and rightly so. It's, very cohesive. And it's just one of the things. It's the first time I heard it, I thought, wow. And I still feel that today. And going through their catalogue as we are, I won't preempt anything that may or may not come, but this, along with The Wild, The Willing, and The Innocent, and Mechanics, are for me those 10 out of 10 albums. I am maybe cheating a little bit, because I'm ignoring Doctor Doctor and Lights Out. But it's my video. I can do what I want, can't I? But no, the rest of it is... Normally I will stop this after Dreaming of Summer. I rarely listen to those covers. But everything from Self-Made Man to Dreaming of Summer is 10 out of 10. Best album they ever recorded. Very, very possibly. However, this is UFO, and things are never designed or destined to remain in place for too long, shall we say. They went out on tour, playing well, as shows I've heard. But personality issues, shall we say, arose between Morg and Schenker. Very nearly came to fisticuffs on stage, not very dignified. And as a result, did they complete the tour, or was it abandoned partway through? But anyway, they split. Quelle surprise. Now, I just have to go off piste slightly here. During the hiatus, as it were, Morg and Way recorded a couple of albums under their own name, i.e. Morg Way. 1997's Edge of the World and 1999's Chocolate Box. These are fucking fantastic. These are UFO records in all but name, and I can't for the life of me remember who played guitar on them. And it may not be Schenker, but my God, he's good. And these are slightly more creative in some ways. They take slightly more chances on the music here. But there is not a bad song to be heard. Again, I don't think these did particularly well. I don't know how much attention really they received, but if you like UFO, if you like what we've been discussing thus far, these are absolutely essential purchases. They are stronger than some of the mid-80s albums, easily. They're certainly stronger than the first two UFO releases. And I would say, song for song, or as an album, it's not a weak moment. Stronger perhaps than some of those... I know this may be sacrilege or heresy, but some of those 70s records, you really need to listen to them. You really do. And say, these would not have disgraced if they'd been released under the UFO banner. They really would not. However, it's not what we're here to discuss. And I don't think either of them did really set the world on fire in any sort of commercial terms. And by the turn of the millennium, Yeah, well, it kind of got back together again. Yeah, and again, one has to assume, you know, after the way things ended last time, this was not a musical decision. One has the feeling bills were having to be paid. For whatever reason, Andy Parker did not participate in this reunion, and Ainsley Dunbar played on the forthcoming album, but Simon Wright of AC/DC and Dio stepped in for the tour. Production duties were handled by Mike Varney on this occasion, and we got released in 2000 Covenant, which opens with Love Is Forever, which is a really strong opener. It's melodic, it's confident, it's great playing on it, great musical and lyrical hooks to it. Vocal melody on the chorus is one especially memorable. It's, perhaps a more hopeful lyric than maybe we're used to. Stylistically, though, this is a continuation, and qualitatively, this is a continuation of where they were on, where they left off on Walk on Water. It's, I wouldn't say it could necessarily have come from the same sessions or something, but this is not a change of pace, or a change of style, or direction, or anything like that. Okay, to move on to Unraveled, which is a slightly raw effort. It's got a really biting edge to it. Really strong from the guitar and the rhythm section in general. It's got a sense of urgency. Again, you have to say, the melody is very accessible. Slightly unsettled mood to it, which gives it more character than polish as a song. It's interesting. I like it. It's a very strong effort. And the 1-2 of the opener and the follow-up, particularly effective in this configuration. Okay, Meet the Lights, I guess another atmospheric piece. Spacious, slightly cinematic quality to it, perhaps. Again, instantly memorable guitar hook, over which the melody rides seamlessly, I have to say. Wistful, but controlled. Yeah, it's very strong, a very strong effort. However, this one I say would not have, if this had been on Walk on Water, it would have been one of the lesser songs. Something about it, not quite good, not quite that level. Midnight Train picks up the tempo again. More bluesy undercurrents on this one, I would say. Great groove and pulse to it. Moves along very nicely. No bombast, but good drive. Slightly moody vibe perhaps. I like it. It's good. It's strong. Yep. That's good. Okay, Fool's Gold. Most ambitious moment, I think, on the album. Starts with a haunting guitar, and it builds patiently. The arrangement expands, the dynamic shift. Solo really shines here again. Dramatic track. Successfully melds melody, mood, and intensity. Slow, dramatic, highly effective in the beginning, morphs into a great driving rocker. Standout moment on the album? Well, we're not finished, but certainly it's a standout moment thus far, with the exception perhaps of the opener. But no, this is, again, this is another band classic. It really is. Okay, in the middle of madness, that's a shorter track, more direct, tight little rocker, little flash, little excess, less grand. Brevity does give it punch, one has to say. No frills, hard rock track. It's succinct, functional, clear riff, decent energy, slightly more commercial, a little catchy, but effective. You may think that I'm building up to a negative comment here. It's not earth-shattering, it's not revelatory, but I really do like it. Okay, The Smell of Money. More groove-based. Doesn't aim for any sort of grandeur on this one. It's more streetwise, leaner rock number. Perhaps not the most memorable thing on the record either, but it offers, sort of different shades from driving rock to... Interestingly, it slows down and goes mellow for the choruses. And and the driving rock bit is the verses. You often find that process is reversed, don't you? There's something going on here. There really is. I kind of get the feeling, however, that this idea has maybe not been fully developed. Okay, Rise Again, melodic, uplifting perhaps, is a real great chorus, one that's difficult to get out of your head. Flows nicely. It's got a good structure to this. It's not being overly ambitious, perhaps, but songcraft here is really strong. Not as heavy as the rest of the material, and it's strangely enough, in the beginning, when Morg starts to sing, he does come across a little bit like Neil Diamond, actually. If you're just listening to his opening lyrics to it, where he's strange. Okay, that just may be me. Again, there's a lot to admire here. There really is, and there's a lot to like. But I'm going to repeat my reservation of the previous song. I think, this could have been developed a little more, or maybe a little more care taken. Serenade is lighter, it's a much more commercial effort. Really great guitar playing, underlines a really strong vocal line, melody. Again, it's slightly moodful, wistful, but it has its own inherent power. It's not a classic, I would say. But it's a strong composition. Again, you can see perhaps on this album they are trying slightly. They're not trying to replicate Walk on Water directly. They're trying different things, some of which are working, some of which are not working that well. Cowboy Joe, this is more of a straightforward band rocker, punchy with swagger. They can do this almost in their sleep. It's not particularly deep or complex, and I'm not saying that they did this in their sleep. It's very enjoyable for what it is. It's a good hard rock song with great attitude and enough melody to stay in the ear, after several spins. Expression I hate, but always it's a good album track, guys. Good album track. They close things off with The World and His Dog. It's a solid, fast, good driving track. Although they do give it space to breathe. Again, that's the maturity, isn't it, of songwriting, or perhaps just a higher level of songwriting. In other hands, music like this would not. It would have the drive, it would have the fast riff and the relentless rhythms, but something this band, they know how to let their songs breathe. There's no frills to it, I don't think. For its excess, it's grounded, and it leaves the album on a really solid note. May not reach the height of some of the stronger material here, but it's unpretentious, I would say. I was about to say serviceable, but that's doing it an injustice. It's solid. It really is. And there's a decent way to end the album, certainly. They're obviously continuing in a similar vein to they were on Walk on Water. But it's just song for song, this doesn't stack up. The material is not there. There are weaker moments on this. This is not a bad album. This is an excellent album. It's just not a classic album because of that. And it is much more uneven. The Walk on Water was from the first note to the last note. Perfect. Nothing wrong with it. This is a much more uneven effort. Again, I don't think it set the world alight in terms of sales, did it? Probably sold less, I think, than its predecessor. Again, there's a decent production on it. It's clear, it's powerful, it's well balanced. There's nothing to complain about there. Nothing outstanding about the production either. It offers no talking points, shall we say, either good or bad. It's an effective production. And as with the last one, Schenker is amazing on this. Not only again, he's playing, but the way his guitar sounds is fantastic. So, okay, sorry, it is a plus point for the production. He sounds, and everybody sounds excellent on it. It's a very strong album. It really is. It just doesn't quite have the magic, for me at least. It doesn't make it an indispensable release. Well, after that, as far as I know, there was no fisticuffs, or duels, or legal writs, or anything like that. They almost managed to stay together. When I say almost, yeah. Moog, Schenker, and Way managed to stay together. Paul Raymond gone. And Ainsley Dunbar was again back to provide the drums on the album. And Mike Varney was again retained as producer. And in 2002, we got Shocks. Okay, Outlaw Man, good opener, plenty of UFO swagger, gritty, riff-driven, attitude, sounds good, good vocal. It's a confident start. It's heavy. It drives along, but it still has that inevitable great sense of melody. Strong chorus as well, I have to say. Okay, Quicksilver Riders, slightly quicker perhaps. More of a straightforward rocker, nothing exceptional in composition here. It's got one of those choruses that will stick. Good punchy delivery from Phil Mogg on this one. The riff keeps it going. It's not deep, it's not profound, but it's catchy, it's effective. Yeah, solid, hard rock number. Familiar construction, perhaps. Although there are some hints on the guitar work that maybe we're looking to try something different. The guitar work on the verses, for example, instead of being the standard riff or something, is picked, I think, by the sound of it, which gives it a different texture. Trying to incorporate new ideas, fine, great, love it. It's a good song. Okay, Serenity. This is much more expressive and moody, I have to say. Slows the pace. Again, I mentioned this before, but they really know how to allow their atmosphere, to give their songs room to breathe, which allows the melody, the inherent melody and the atmosphere to come through. And they're still obviously capable of crafting songs with emotional weight and subtlety. An attempt at an epic? Perhaps. Quite heavy in places? Yes, it is. It's a fucking strong effort. It really is. Certainly the best thing on the album thus far. Is it band classic? I don't know. It could be. Dead Man Walking, which is more in the sort of UFO melodic rock vein. Decent riff, well-paced. It's got a certain ring of familiarity about it in terms of style and construction. I can't actually say, it reminds me of this track or something, but there's just, yeah, you kind of have the feeling you've heard it somewhere before. It's decent. There's nothing exceptional. And there's no vocal or significant vocal or musical hook that makes it stand out that you can easily identify it by. Maybe that's where it falls down. I don't know. Shadow Dancer, classic UFO hard rock, riff heavy. Again, melody remains intact. In fact, if you listen to the beginning, the opening notes, it sounds very similar to the opening notes of A Self-Made Man. It really does. And the chorus on this occasion, not that strong, which is something you can generally rely on them to get right, isn't it? But it's a catchy melody to it. Simple but effective, perhaps. It's good, but it's not an outstanding song. Someone's Going to Have to Pay, which is more groove-based. And again, every time they do that, it just comes with swagger and attitude, doesn't it? Yeah, it doesn't attack with speed or anything like that, but it really does have presence. Vibe is more bluesy than is traditional, I think, for this version of the band. The whole thing's slightly more laid back. Well, it's better than that sounds, actually. There's change of pace, which works well in the context of the album and works well within the confines of this song. Probably one that doesn't grab you on initial listen. But just persevere. Have a little patience. You'll get it, I'm sure. Okay. All right, Sea of Faith, one of the most melodic and expansive songs on the album. Very interesting groove on it. There's, I hate to say this, but there's a very faint hint of reggae, something like that, on the verses. Really good melodies on it again. And again, they give this room to breathe. Great melody, great mood. Slightly more creative, I think. Does it work? Yes, more or less. It's... Again, I don't know. Could this have benefited with an extra day's work on it or something? I don't know. I just have a feeling there's a little... I really like it, but something in the back of my mind. I don't know. All right, Fighting Man. It's punchy, it's raw. There is a return to the straightforward rock. Riff hits, energy's there. Doesn't overthink itself. Good, solid rock and roll attitude. One of the more instant tracks because of that. And again, I have to say, it's good, but it's not great. Perfect View is lean, uncomplicated. Does not aim for grandeur, but for groove. And they kind of get away with it. A little on the fence on this one. It's a decent attempt. Again, for once, it doesn't happen often. The vocal melodies on the verses and the chorus is not that strong. It's not that memorable. And it's obviously a more commercial effort. Again, no way you can say it's bad. It's just not great. It's, just not great. Crossing over. Again, more mid-pace stuff. Perhaps too much on this album. I don't know. But it's got a very strong, engaging riff. And for some reason, this one reminds me most of the band in their 70s. I don't know why. But it's just something about its construction and that. Very strong melodic foundations, which wasn't just a feature of their 70s work either, was it? But there's just something, maybe there's just a nostalgia in this, in the chord sequence or something, I don't know. But it certainly gave me the feeling of, a trip down memory lane, shall we say. I really like it, and I have to say it is one of the better efforts on the album, which finishes with 45 seconds of Michael Schenker. Track they call Hawaii. At 45 seconds, you can't do too much. It's nice, it's pleasant. But again, if you're going to have an instrumental closer, at least develop the idea. Again, musically, this one could argue this is something of a continuation from the Walk on Water Covenant vein, but I think they're more melodic on this and more experimental. So there's not huge stylistic changes here, but there's little things. I've mentioned a few of them. Which, okay, they are trying, or maybe trying, incorporate new ideas, new styles, whatever. Is that a good thing? Well, yes, it's a good thing, but it's only a good thing if the songs actually, justify it or back it up. And again, as with Covenant, this is a little uneven. Too many songs now, I think, just lack that musical, dynamical shift, or that great hook, or that great melody to elevate them above the good, into the very good to the great category. But conversely, you can't say there's a bad song or anything on here. I don't think I've used the word filler once in this video, because I don't think there is any. It's simply that they set the bar very high with Walk on Water, shall we say, for this particular series of reviews. And there's just some of the subsequent songs didn't quite live up to that. It's a really decent album. If I was ranking the three of them, obviously Walk on Water is a no-brainer. I vacillate whether I prefer this one over Covenant. Both have strengths, both have weaknesses. And I have to say, neither of them are the ones I return to regularly. If it's from this era, then obviously Walk on Water is the outstanding effort. And I would go slightly further. Those, as albums, those two Mog Way efforts, I think in some ways are better than both Covenant and Sharks. They're certainly more consistent. And I think they have more interesting material on them as well. Controversial, probably. Again, this was not a huge success, but it did make the German top 100 in 2000. I don't know exactly how many you had to sell to achieve that honor, but presumably it was more than you have to sell in 2025 to achieve that honor. Nothing too much to say about the production on this. Again, I've said it all the way through. Schenker sounds fantastic. His playing is really good, and it sounds good. It's been well captured, so yes, a plus for the production. Everybody sounds good. The production is good. If I said it was serviceable, I'd probably be doing it an injustice. It does what it has to do. It's not probably an outstanding production. Functional, not cinematic. But yeah, it does what it has to do. Now, Sharks is notable for, if no other reason, it was the last album, UFO album, to feature Michael Schenker. Why he departed on this occasion, I don't know. If there was a fallout, I really don't know. He has been quite a volatile character for most of his career, and I don't think there was any particular love lost between him and Phil Mogg. But again, what the actual reasons for this, I don't know. Was Sharks was it a fitting farewell? Well, had it been Walk on Water, it would have been a fitting farewell, most certainly. And I don't. Sharks is not that much worse, but it is slightly worse. Or it is not as great as Walk on Water. But no, not a bad album. By no stretch of the imagination. So a fitting farewell, yes, you can say that. The fact that it didn't sell millions is not the point. They didn't go out on a bad album. Or Schenker did not go out on a bad album. Maybe with the benefit of hindsight, one could say there were signs that the creative partnership between him and Mogg had run its course or come to its natural end. But obviously, if you're going to say that, you are inferring quite a lot. And because they ended here, it ended here. Had they recorded another album together, we just have absolutely no idea what they would have produced, have we? But that was that. So the great reunion spluttered a little bit, didn't it? Promised much and delivered a lot, I have to say. One outstanding record and two damn fine ones. Not the least successful reunion in rock band history. Let's just put it that way. Which now takes us to the early part of the millennium, and 25 years ago now. But as far as this story is concerned, we are heading into the home straight. But we are not yet finished, as I'm sure you know. And we will pick this up next time. What do you think? Am I too gushing in my praise of some of this? Am I not respectful enough of some of the rest of it? please let me know. Feel free, obviously, to comment, to like, to share, to subscribe, all those good things. And until next time, I thank you for your indulgence. I wish you well, and Maçhonquèrre.